Ethan had long yearned for a black Toyota Tacoma. The gleaming truck was his dream ride, and he spent years saving every penny he could get his hands on. One fateful day, his prayers seemed to be answered when he came across a listing for a perfect black Toyota Tacoma owned by an old man named Mr. Harrison. Ethan met with Mr. Harrison at his property on the outskirts of town. The old man's eyes bore deep sorrow, hinting at a tragic past. Ignoring the unsettling feeling that crept up his spine, Ethan was too enamored by the truck to notice. As he handed over the cash, he couldn't help but feel a shiver down his spine when Mr. Harrison whispered, "Take good care of her." That afternoon, Ethan drove the truck home, the thrill of owning his dream vehicle overshadowing any lingering unease. But as the car entered the highway, strange things began to occur. Unseen hands seemed to pull at the steering wheel, making the truck swerve dangerously. The radio blared static, and the headlights flickered ominously. Uneasy but resolute, Ethan brushed it off as mere coincidences. Perhaps the truck needed some repairs. However, things only worsened as days passed. Odd noises echoed from the back seat, and the windows would roll down on their own. At times he thought he caught glimpses of a shadowy figure in the rear-view mirror, but it vanished whenever he looked back. Desperate for answers, Ethan sought out the truth about the truck's previous owner, only to discover that a young man named Connor had owned the Tacoma before him. Rumors circulated that Connor had tragically taken his own life inside the vehicle. Feeling a mix of fear and sympathy for the deceased Connor, Ethan decided to confront the haunting head-on. He visited the old man, Mr. Harrison, who shared the sorrowful tale. Connor was his grandson, and his suicide had left behind unanswered questions and immense guilt. Mr. Harrison believed the truck retained a connection to Connor's spirit, unable to move on. Determined to free Connor's tormented soul, Ethan embarked on a quest to lay his spirit to rest. Armed with advice from local spiritualists and mediums, he performed rituals and recited prayers, hoping to break the ethereal bond. But the malevolent presence grew stronger, as if the spirit resisted release. The haunting intensified, and Ethan's once vibrant life crumbled under the weight of fear. Sleep eluded him, and his days became blurred with paranoia. In a final act of desperation, Ethan sought out a psychic, who was known for exorcising malevolent entities. With trepidation, Ethan described his terrifying ordeal. The psychic agreed to help. She performed a ritual unlike any Ethan had seen before. Candles flickered as she chanted ancient incantations, guiding the spirit to detach and move on. The truck began to vibrate, and a cloud of steam violently blew out of the windows. Suddenly, everything came to a stop. Amidst the eerie silence, the psychic said that it was over. A sense of relief washed over Ethan. The malevolence that once plagued the truck had vanished, and the Tacoma was now just a mere vehicle, no longer a vessel for sorrow. On his way home, Ethan cranked up the volume of the radio and sang along to the lyrics. He had all the windows rolled down and felt whole again as the wind blew through his hair. Now that the creepy ordeal was over, Ethan thought about getting up early in the morning to go fishing at his favorite spot. Summer was almost over, and he hadn't used the truck for any outdoor recreation because of all the crazy things happening. Ethan was daydreaming about all the things he could do in the next few days when he felt sharp fingernails scratch the back of his neck. Feeling terrified, he stepped on the brakes, but the truck accelerated instead. He looked in the rearview mirror only to see his own reflection. Then he turned his head to check the back seat, but it, too, was empty. The speedometer continued to climb despite Ethan's foot desperately pumping on the brakes. He began to cry as he recited the Lord's Prayer. Midway through the prayer, a demonic female voice spoke into his ear and began mimicking him, "And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil." The demon voice laughed as Ethan felt a pair of cold hands with sharp nails cover his eyes. When Ethan woke up from his month-long coma, his entire body was in a cast. There were a number of tubes attached to him. His parents rushed to his side when they saw that he was awake. Ethan couldn't talk, but his parents could see it in his eyes that he was confused and wanted answers. They carefully explained that he had driven into a ditch and totaled his truck.